ส Hello everyone! Wait, let me set my camera right. Okay, it doesn't look right, but it looks okay. So if it's stable enough, then I should be fine. But yeah, thank you for coming! Thank you so much! Yahoo! Hello everybody, it's me, Kinari Hoku, at your service as always. Hey, we're back with the Green Days Attorney Chronicles. We are at EP4. Twisted Karma and his last bow, not bow, I'm sorry. His last bow. I just realized I said bow on the last stream, right? Did I? I think so. So yeah, this is a part 1, the trial. So we're gonna start this without further ado. Let's go. And I'm eating too, if you don't mind. 2nd November, 8:56 a.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. There's that old familiar feeling again. The crushing pressure of this historic courthouse. Actually, no, it's a little different today. There's an even more menacing tension in the air. There is a menacing tension in the air here today, isn't there? I suppose. Yes, I think so. Why are you even here? Oh yeah, because he's the suspect. It can only be the result of the menacing appearance of the defendant. A little more courtesy, if you please. Oh my! I do apologize! However, you are certainly not mistaken. This trial is far from ordinary. What do you mean? I'm not privy to the details, however. I understand that no jury has been selected. A trial without a jury? Well, that's just like the trial of the professor 10 years ago. A close court. Nice! I'm actually very annoyed of all the jury. Good morning, my dear fellows. Mr. Shows. Have you made note of my hair, Mr. Naruto? An outright victory for science, you must agree. Okay. To be perfectly honest, so much happened yesterday that, well, I completely forgot about your little hair problem. Ha! What to one man is a little hair problem? It's to another day of drinking dubious potion after dubious potion. You have no idea how my stomach ails me this morning. Well, he did it to himself. Exactly. Good morning to you, Mr. Reaper. I'm delighted to see you looking so full of vim. And are you? I see London's celebrated great detective is as active as ever. Oh, you exaggerate, my dear fellow, compared to my paltry engagements with a few trivial cases. The Reaper's overbearing presence is a far greater deterrent to the black roots of crime in our capital. What an honor that would be. Your eye for a good lawyer, sir. Aww. Mrs. Jones. After all, behind this lawyer there is a very great mind. Okay, what are you trying to say? I wish only to say that you should be prepared for quite a trial, Mr. Reaper. Sorry to barge in. Gina! Oh, she has a band? Oh, the morning band. What's that on her arm? It's a morning band, I suppose. Father! Shouldn't you be at the symposium? It's been postponed, so I have some free time. I decided to come along with the police inspector to see our country's up-and-coming student in action. I really can't believe he actually did. They killed him off like that. Yes, the culprit deserves every ounce of your loathing. Eh? At least, that may be some solace to the deceased. Aww. Please, Otto. Get whoever did this for the boss. Oh, Gina. I hate feeling this useless, but there's nothing I can do. So you've got to find who done this and make the wretch pay. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court will be in session shortly. Make your way to the courtroom at once, please. All right then, here we go. It's time, Mr. Naruto, Lord Van Zeeks. One who lost his treasured brother to a mass murder. One who lost his treasured father in a foreign court of law. And one who lost the man who helped her escape destitution. All that misfortune, all that pain on course to collide headlong on this trial. It's time to shine a light on all these dark events. And whatever truth is revealed, we're going to have to look it straight in the eye. November 9:20 a.m. the Old Bailey courtroom. Wow, it is a close court. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are here to conduct the fair and just trial of the defendant, Baron Van Zeeks. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready to begin? The defense is ready. The prosecution is more than ready. I've been wishing to see you in court again for so long, it feels. But I never pictured it happening like this. I never thought I'd be facing you behind the prosecution's bench. The so-called Reaper of the Veil has been a scourge like no other, undermining Her Majesty's justice system. Today we must uncover the truth behind this scourge. In other words, this trial is going to be a lot more far-reaching than Inspector Grixon's. The truths revealed by these proceedings may have unpredictable repercussions through the judiciary. Accordingly, they are to be conducted as a closed trial with no members of the public present. By Her Majesty's erect orders. How would that work, my lord? The burden of all arbitration and adjudication falls on my shoulders. Therefore, as you see, the juror's bench shall remain vacant. If no members of the public are present, Majayasu is currently occupying the gallery, my lord. There are members of the judiciary here to witness proceedings and ensure an equitable trial. Members of the judiciary. Oh my, this is a very unusual trial already. There is, of course, another unprecedented aspect to these proceedings on which I must elaborate. The counsels for the prosecution and the defense are both aliens of Great Britain. I believe it takes an outsider to see the truth sometimes. And as I stand here in this courtroom now, I'm quite certain. This is a reason why I had to come to Britain. Very well, let us commence proceedings. Prosecutor Asogi, your opening statement, if you please. Certainly, my lord. He is so handsome. The incident took place on 1st November at just after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The location was a building of flats on Fresno Street on the outskirts of the city. The victim's body was discovered there in an old single-room rental property. Yes, Inspector Tobias Grayson, a name known very well indeed to this court. Not least for his miraculous resolution of one of his country's grimmest cases 10 years ago. The Professor case. How sure are you about the time of the incident? Several witnesses on the street outside heard the gunshot and all have reported the same time. Yes, that's what Gina told us too. There were a number of witnesses. I have here a plan of the room. This is gonna be hard. I just knew it. The victim was found curled up in one corner. It's believed that he was shot from the front at point blank range and died instantly. How has the range been determined? There were scorch marks around the entry wound. Such marks are caused by the gunpowder used to fire the bullet. But powder hot enough to leave scorch marks is only ejected a few inches beyond the end of the barrel. In other words, it only happens when the target is at point-blank range. I see, yes. Thank you for the detailed explanation, Counsel. The autopsy report, okay, stating the death was instant, resulting from a bullet shot at close range. The murder weapon was found lying beside the victim. And have you managed to ascertain the owner of this firearm? No, not conclusively. Bravo, Kazuma-sama, for not trying to use a gun as evidence when its provenance can be proven. Furthermore, my lord, as I've explained, the revolver was fired at extremely close range. The bullet passed through the victim and struck the wall behind him. There is a candelabrum mounted on that wall, and the tip of one of the candles in it was found to have been blown off by the projectile. We noticed that too, didn't we? Yes, that's right. Thank you for the thorough report, Counsel. The setting of the crime is clear to me. You submit the plan of the crime scene as evidence, please. As you wish, my lord. Okay. Okay. Is this Fresno Street room Inspector Gregson's private abode? No, my lord. The room is rented to a Mr. Hugh Booth, but there's precious little furniture inside and it is generally in a poor state of repair. So what on earth was Gregson even doing there? Presumably he was investigating some case or other. When a policeman was informed of the gunshot from the witnesses and rushed to the scene, he found only the deceased inspector and the accused standing alongside holding the revolver. The attending officer arrested the accused on the spot. So, the details of the case are clear. In that case, the prosecution would like to call his first witness. A name, please, counsel. Naturally, the accused himself. Lord Van Zieks? As a prosecutor, he believes in the oath of office he's taken and will be compelled to tell the truth. Very well, let the defendant take the witness stand. So, witness, state your name and occupation for the court. Baroque Van Zieks, Old Bailey prosecutor. I presume, Lord Van Zieks, that you heard Prosecutor Asogi's opening process. I did. It is alleged that you were found at the scene of the crime, and that you were arrested by the robbing police officer. Can you confirm this? Yes, my lord. Then I'm sure the court would like to hear you explain some things away. Namely, why you were there in a room on Fredno Street at the time in question. And what exactly took place. I intend to explain away nothing. I'll simply tell the truth. I must say, Lord Van Zieks, I never imagined this day would come. Or rather, I didn't want to imagine it would come. But since you became known as a Reaper, a part of me has been dreading it. Your formal testimony, then, witness. The facts of the incident. I was investigating Gregson, and my inquiries had led me to that address. When I first entered the room that day, it was dark inside and I saw no one. A moment later, I heard the gunshot and I spun around and saw the revolver on the floor. Just as I picked the firearm up to examine it, the door flew open and I heard a man scream. It was only then that the body of Inspector Gregson appeared before me. That testimony was the whole truth. It was. Oh my god. So, you heard a shot being fired in a room with no living occupants. And moments later, a corpse somehow appeared before your eyes. Is that it? You're right, you haven't explained away anything. In fact, that would barely qualify as an excuse. I thought you were my mute apprentice. Yet it turns out you have a way with words, Prosecutor Asogi. It would appear to be a singular tale indeed. Singular isn't the word, it's laughable. Kazuma! Why are you so mean? What's got into Kazuma? He's not behaving like himself at all. Yeah. Very well then. Counsel, you may begin your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. The facts of the incident. Why was he investigating Grayson?
Hold it!
You were investigating the inspector? What on earth for? Yeah, exactly. I'm not at liberty to say. Sorry? I'd identified a distinct possibility that Grayson was involved in the case I was investigating. Regrettably, though, he was killed before I could secure the proof I needed. Is the court to understand, then, that on the day in question you followed the victim to the scene? No, I was privy to his movements in advance. Ooh, why? How? I stole into his office in the yard and consulted his diary. The address on Fresno Street was noted in the 5 p.m. entry. You illegally entered the man's office? In Japan, that alone would constitute a very serious offense. As it does in Great Britain, I assure you. Is that not the case, Lord Francis? He is actually telling the truth. I was aware of that possible consequences. So, in summary, you were investigating the victim. And yet, you refused to tell the court why. I didn't realize British prosecutors enjoy such freedom to choose what to divulge under oath. Ugh, why did I ever think I could defend this man? When I first entered the room that day, it was dark inside and I saw no one.
Hold it!
Had you ever been to the address before? No, never. I only learned of the place as a result of my investigations into Gregson's activities. There was no light inside when I entered, so it was all but impossible to make out anything. But at 5 p.m., the sun would only just have gone down. It would still have been reasonably light outside. Yeah, exactly. The room has a window, but it was boarded shut. Very little light found its way to the room from outside, so it was extremely murky inside. I would have noticed if the victim was already lying on the floor. There was no artificial light in the room, you say? You're quite sure? I'm quite sure that the part of the room where the body was found was very dark. I have a feeling there was a small oil lamp burning on the desk, though I couldn't say for certain. Look, Mr. Naruhodo. There is a small desk in the room just here. Yes, I remember. And there was an oil lamp on it, as well as a framed photograph. When I entered the room, I closed the door behind me and started towards the desk to investigate. And what did you find? Nothing. I never actually reached the desk. A moment later, I heard the gunshot. I spun around and saw the revolver on the floor.
Hold it!
Okay. So, who fired the gun? I have no idea. I didn't see anybody else in the room. But you say it was very dark in there? Yes, that's right. All I can tell you is I didn't sense another's presence. Aha! Then could it be that the gunshot actually originated from somewhere outside the room? No, that's out of question. Oh. Without doubt, the sound emanated from inside the room. I could smell the gunpowder. Ah, this is going from bad to worse. And you say that's the point at which you notice a revolver on the floor. Correct. And I foolishly picked it up. That was carelessness on my part. Presumably then, the gunshot you heard came from the firearm that you somewhat hastily took in your hands. In point of fact, my lord, I believe it did not. What? The barrel of the revolver I picked up was cold, and there was no smell of spent powder. But then, where on earth is a gun that was fired? Whilst I would like to oblige you with an answer, I'm afraid I can't. I too would dearly like to know that. Just as I picked the firearm up to examine it, the door flew open and I heard a man scream. Hold it! A man, you say? One of the witnesses, I presume. That's right, one of the street merchants working on Fresno Street. Who are these merchants? A number of them have set up their stalls directly beneath the boarded window of the crime scene. A match seller, a newsmonger, and a peddler. They've all given statements saying they heard the gunshot. And without thought of danger, they ran inside to see what had happened. Yes, Gina told us about that yesterday, didn't she? They burst through the door with some force, Lucene. They did, and almost gave me a heart attack in the process. But he was supposed to be the Reaper. The first man to come in immediately noticed a revolver in my hand and fled. A policeman patrolling on Fresno Street heard the commotion and was able to arrest the accused shortly after the incident occurred. Anyway, the man's scream drew my attention in that direction. It was only then that the body of Inspector Gregson appeared before me. Hold it! What do you mean by that? In what way did the body appear? I honestly can't explain it, but it's the truth. As far as I was concerned, the body hadn't been there until that point, and then suddenly there it was. Did you perhaps hear the sound of the victim falling to the ground just beforehand? At that moment, what I heard was the sound of the door flying open and the scream of the man who came inside first. Nothing more. I see. After the man fled, I examined the body. I was stunned to find that it was Gregson. Most curious circumstances indeed. How the inspector was killed, or how his body seemed to appear out of nowhere, I have no idea.
Objection!
Surely the court has heard enough. My lord, the cross-examination is clearly revealed that the accused, Baroque Van Zeeks, is lying on multiple fronts. What is that supposed to mean? Good gracious, counsel. The defendant is lying, you say? In his testimony just now, He claims that he failed to notice the victim's body because the room was dark. That's correct. No, that's impossible. As proven by this candelabra. How does that prove anything? If you examine the tip of the long candle, you can see it has been blown out by a powerful impact. One would assume that the projectile from the firearm passed through the victim and struck the candle. The problem comes when you consider the other two candles, which are clearly off a different length. Yes, I can see that the only candle that appears to have been struck by the bullet is long. We could reasonably expect someone to have lit all three candles together. Which begs the question of why only one has ended up longer than the others. That must be because that particular candle was extinguished when the others were still burning. Ah! That's right. When the candle was hit by the bullet, it obviously went out. But the other two candles would still have been burning, so the fact is, the victim's body would have been illuminated by the light still thrown by the candelabra. And the accused claim that he couldn't see the body clearly contradicts those facts. And now to the next lie. There's more? The accused also claims never to have visited the scene of the crime. That's the truth. In that almost empty room, the police discovered something very unusual. A board covered from top to bottom with police documents and newspapers, Chronicles. Yes, that's right. We saw it too. It goes without saying that the contents of the police documents cannot be divulged, however. They included a number of reports on various historical cases, the oldest of which was from 10 years ago. 10 years ago? This is starting to sound familiar. And there is a common thread linking all the documents on that board. Indeed, what is this common thread, Counsel? They all relate to cases prosecuted in court by barrel fancies. All of them? And furthermore, all those cases are ones in which a defendant was acquitted. Good Lord! Interestingly, none of those defendants are alive today, because all of them have been sent to their graves by the Reaper. Ah! In short, that dingy little room is the Reaper's secret hideout and his base of operations. What? The Reaper's hideout? And yet the Reaper would claim never to have been to his own secret hideout? No one will believe that. No, the truth is, we've been looking at this backwards. Backwards? Explain, Counsel. Inspector Gregson was investigating the identity of the Reaper. Then he discovered the location of the man's secret hideout. He was killed. As I'm sure everyone can imagine, by the Reaper's hand. What? Oh my God. Order! Very well, I hereby state the current opinion of the court. Baroque Vanzix is an outstanding prosecutor who has rendered great service to his country. However, it is with deep regret that I must concur with Prosecutor Ersogi's contention that the defendant's testimony exhibits a number of stark inconsistencies with the known facts. All I have done is state the truth as I know it. Kazuma's done a brilliant job as ever. He's drawing on his experience as a defense attorney to build his prosecution case, and it's formidable. Counsel? You submit the board that you just showed the court as evidence. I believe it to be fundamental in establishing the facts surrounding the Reaper's existence. Thank you, my lord. Okay, oh my god. You actually... Hello! Just like Edgeworth, yeah, exactly. Freestanding notice board completely covered in notes and articles relating to victims of rape. And now the prosecution would like to call new witnesses to the stand. Witnesses who saw events unfold on the day in question. They were mentioned in the previous testimony too, if you remember. Yes, the street sellers who heard the gunshot and went running into the room. Very well, lead the witnesses in. The defendant may step down from the witness stand. Certainly, my lord. So, witnesses, state your names and occupation for the court. Names? We don't use names. Far too fancy for the likes of us. We're just free and easy, sell what we like, live where we want to live. I did give them all vacant stares and walked out. President would spend a few little words into a verse for them. Wait, he is that driver, right? Would I be right in assuming that all three of you made your living by selling wares on the street? Hee, everyone calls me gossip. I sell jaunty little tidbits to passers-by, you know. Jaunty little tidbits? Got an absolute smasher for you, sir? Right up your know what it is. 6 pence is a prize and not a penny less. Wait, you're actually trying to sell it to me now? Oh, come on, sir. Don't tell me you're not interested. Try the man. Give him the money and see what it is. Okay. Why me? It's my money. Pay the man, counsel. What? Alright, 6 pence it is. You won't regret it, sir. Now, got your listening ears on? Oh my god, 6 pence. Just between us, a young couple on Slate Street have just had twins. Is that it? No, that's not it. It's gossip, isn't it? It wants to spread, but that bit's up to you and your mouth, of course. I've got more, you know. Want another juicy one? 6 pence apiece it is, if you're curious. I am curious, yes, about what's going on just under that fat bottom lips of yours. Namely that unusual bruise or whatever it is that's poking out from under your collar. What about the next witness then? What name do you go by and what do you sell? Me? I'm Venus. That's what everyone calls me. Funny, innit? I sell these lovely little fireworks to all the local school kids. 6 pence a pop, what you say? You weren't exaggerating with little. Do they actually sell? Oh yeah, the second years can't get enough of my Venus firecrackers. Especially when I tell them that if they get 100, they could blow up the school. Not the most savory of ideas, young lady. What'd you say then, eh? Want to part with 6 pence for a pop? Wait, what? You want me to buy one? Tell you what, I'll let you in on a little secret. If you get 100 of them, you could blow up the whole court. Try the woman. Give her the money and see if she's right. Pay the woman, counsel. Alright, I'll buy one. Lovely stuff, right then. This is something a bit extra just for you. The Venus special, only 600 pence. 600? It's 100 of my regular fireworks. Nothing little about that, is there? And there'd be nothing little about the punishment if I blew up the Old Bailey either. The witness firecracker has been entered into court. Okay. 100 smaller fireworks at 6 pence each. What sort of ban could it make? And the last witness. What name do you go by and what do you sell? Let me check. Staring at the end of a string of fireworks. Sorry, it's just that it's a winner special. I was wondering what 600 pence worth of fireworks would sound like. Shall we find out? What? But she said it could blow up the courtroom. Alright, that was a fairly sizable bail. My ears are still ringing, Mr. Naruto. It sounded almost exactly like a gunshot. Yeah, it goes off like a gunshot. Let's go! It's a firecracker. There are details of a whole raft of cases dating back years on here, aren't there? The paper from 10 years ago is browning with age. Look. Out of interest, the most recent thing appears to be this newspaper cutting here. Oh, it's the same red-headed league advertisement that Mr. Sholmes had picked out. And do you remember? There was a red-head piece at the scene too. Was Inspector Gregson an exponent of the red-headed league then? Oh, what's this? Mr. Naruto, look! Oh yes, it's a smudge of some kind. In fact, it looks just like a handprint. And the color, that's blood, isn't it? Oh dear, how disturbing. A freestanding notice board completely covered in notes and articles related to victims of the Reaper. There's a bloody handprint on the backside. Somebody could have hidden it there. Victim Tobias Gregson, male, age 45, British, time of death, no, Maria Gori. Cause of death, victim was shot in the chest at close range from the front, resulting in instant death. Scorch marks at point of entry, the bullet exited the body from behind. Additional observations, the caliber of the gun used matches that of standard issue firearms from members of the judiciary. Okay. Aww. Okay. I am the thinker, me. Think all sorts of thoughts. I think, therefore I am, therefore I think. Because I stand there on the street watching the world go on about me. They call me the observator. Get out of it, old man. Everyone calls you Sandwich and you know it. So, you don't actually sell anything? I'm a problem shared is a problem halved, as they say, given wise I do. And think what it means. I don't actually sell anything, no, come to think of it. Pity. No more purchases today, please. Well, we have quite a cast here, it seems. They conduct their business on Fresno Street from morning till night, my lord. And always in the same place, directly adjacent to the crime scene. I see, and thus they heard the gunshot, I suppose. Not only that, but they very bravely ran inside to see what was going on and witness the crime. Well, I'll be beggared, I thought, just between us. Venus and Milo, what am I to do? What a terrible thing I saw. What I think is, if all what we see is light and shadow playing with our eyes, is any of it real? Very well. Well, the court will hear the formal testimony of these three witnesses now. You will describe in detail what you witnessed and heard at the time of incident. The witness's account. We saw the whole thing from start to finish. We did. Everything from the moment they went in the building. It was less than a minute after the Reaper had got inside that we all heard the Big Bang. Seems to me that quick to talk is quick to walk, because it couldn't wait to go and see what had happened. I ran to the room and there he was, a Reaper, gun in hand, standing over the dead body. I was scared off to death, me, so I ran up to find a copper. If these witnesses were there the whole day and saw everything, who did they see going inside the building? Only the victim, Inspector Rickson, and the accused, Brother Van Zeeks. I've seen pictures of that Reaper in the paper. I know what he looks like. And just between us folk love stories like this, I've made myself a tidy sum already. But wait, the room was just one of several flats in the building. Someone from another flat could have done it. Although flats on Fresno Street aren't occupied. Of course they are. They're small, damn dirty, and expensive to boot. The room in which the inspector was found is the property in the building that's currently leased. And we know the leaseholder's name, don't we? It's Hugh Booth. The testimony the court had just heard would appear to leave little room for doubt. It's becoming increasingly difficult to see how anyone other than the defendant could have committed the crime. No! Thank you for your candor. Counsel for the defense, you may proceed to cross-examine the witnesses. Yes, my lord. In a closed court like this, without a jury, the judge is the only person whose opinion matters. I have to break down his testimony. Somehow. The witness's account. We saw the whole thing from start to finish. We did everything from the moment they went into.
Hold it!
When you say they, who do you mean exactly? Inspector Gregson and the defendant, Lord Van Zeeks? I suppose so. The likes of us don't know the names of the high and mighty. But I'll tell you one thing. It was the old Reaper that went in last, that's for sure is certain. Just behind Inspector Gregson? Did they arrive at the same time as each other? No, not at all. The first fella must have got inside a good 15 minutes before we heard that gunshot. The victim arrived 15 minutes before? Are you sure about that? Am I sure? Does it seem likely that I've forgotten a fella with bright red hair like that, does it? Yeah, his hair really were red, weren't it? Redder than my flaming fireworks even. That fiery red mobs to burn it on inside of my eyelids, it is. Wait a minute, you're saying the man was a redhead? Weren't you listening, chum? Aye, he was a redhead. And he had a big trunk with him as well. But Inspector Gregson's hair isn't red. Not by any stretch of the imagination. It seems likely that the person you saw wasn't in fact Inspector Gregson at all. It was some other third party. No, I hate to break it to you, but the witnesses are correct. What? Just have a look at this photograph of the victim taken at the scene. Yes, that's Inspector Gregson, all right. And a red hairpiece. Ah, of course! We saw one on the floor when we investigated the scene, didn't we? I still refuse to believe Inspector Gregson wore a hairpiece, though. So then why on earth would he have been wearing something like that? The color does seem to suit the man, one might say. The photograph will be submitted as evidence, please, counsel. Okay. And what became of the trunk that the red-headed victim was purposely carrying? I was informed that no trunk was found at the scene. So it just disappeared? What? Do you expect us to have been watching the building every second, do you? We definitely saw him in the dark going in though, no question about that. It was less than a minute after the Reaper got inside that we heard a big bang.
Hold it!
By which presumably you mean a gunshot. I sell these little things, don't I? How would I know what a gunshot sounds like? But I've always thought it probably sounds a bit like this, doesn't it? And you say that you heard the noise almost as soon as you saw the defendant here enter the building. That's right. It was almost straight away. Bam! It went. Just like that. Well, he's a Reaper, isn't he? Is what the French call a fait accompli. When the Reaper's around, people going in the ground. I mean, that's what he does, isn't it? I think we got the message. The Reaper could allow the inspector to live after he discovered his secret hideout. There can be no clearer motive for this crime. Yes. It's certainly an eminently credible motive. Great. And at that point you ran inside, is that correct? Seems to me that quick to talk is quick to walk. Gossip couldn't wait to go and see what had happened.
Hold it!
So when Gossip ran to see what had happened, did you go too? Well, me, I'm a bit hampered, see? All the signs are that I can't move very well. You were way behind, presumably, with that sandwich board around your neck and that big sign in your hand. What a great bird you bear. Pardon me for asking, Mr. Sandwich, but is it possible you and I have met before? I'm not anybody. Me, the signs were what make me who I am now. I signed, therefore I am. So, you weren't employed as an omnibus driver just under a year ago then? I might be mistaken, but I believe his trembling has intensified, Mr. Naruto. Yes, I agree. He's clearly been through a lot. Turn down King Henry Street and Black Widower's Arms is just there. Oh dear, you made him hide behind his sign. Life is full of surprises. I ran to the room and there he was, a Reaper gun in hand standing over the dead body.
Hold it!
So then you were the first person to arrive on the scene, is that right? That I was. Kicked the door open like a professional. I did. Yelled out, "What's going on there?" Lord Antique's claims all he heard was a man's scream, though. And was it dark inside the room? No, not dark at all. There were candles burning on the wall. Really? And there was a fellow collapsed on the floor. Just between us is the first thing I noticed when I got inside. I see. Even though Lord Van Seeks claims not to have seen any such lights on the wall. The next thing I noticed was someone standing right beside the body. The accused, Lord Van Seeks. That's right, the pale-faced Reaper himself. I was a little shocked. I won't deny it, but I'm no little liver covered. I stood my ground and gave that Reaper a cold hard stare myself.
Excuse me!
I doubt it. Do you have something to add, Mr. Sandwich? There's really nothing to me. Empty in the head I am. Just two slices with no middle. So I don't know what you could want from me. What with me? I think that maybe you just remembered something. Having heard Mr. Gossip's last statement, I mean. What I think is we're on nothings really. We tried to dress ourselves up as something else, but at the end of the day, we're all just street sellers. That's enough out of you, Sandwich. Keep your trap shut now. Unless you want us to make you into a real sandwich. When he saw the Reaper, he fell clean over on his backside. That's it? Oh, you rotten beggar. I told you to keep that a secret. He screamed, he did. Screamed and scrambled off on all fours. And that's all I wanted to say. Mr. Gossip, is it true? The floor was that slippery, that's why. Planted my hand in a filthy pool of blood, didn't I? Yuck. What? A pool of blood? But listen here, even when I was sprawled on the floor, I still kept giving that Reaper a cold hard stare, and don't you forget it. Let's just go back a little. Did you say you got blood on your hand? I did. I happens to the best of us at times, so doesn't it? So I was scared, so I slipped over. We can keep it just between us, can't we? No, Mr. Gossip. I'm going to have to ask you to add that information to your formal testimony. Oh, if I must. The witness will amend his testimony to include the aforementioned details at once. I slipped over and got blood on my hand, so I quickly wiped it off on the floor.
Hold it!
Oh shit, does that mean it wasn't the board, the notice board? It was on the floor. It was on the floor. Oh shit, it was knocked down. You wiped your hand on the floor? Well, who wants blood on his hands, eh? Horrible stuff. And they might have thought I've done it in no time. And you didn't think that might be a problem? Does it really matter if I left a few grubby handprints on the floor? They'll get cleaned up at the end, won't they? Don't make such a fuss. That's a message for all of us. Is something wrong, Counsel? No, my lord. I didn't remember anything in the report about a bloody handprint on the floor. That's all. Don't come at me with all that. You can't intimidate me. I know what I did. I wiped it off on the floor, the blood. I wonder, could that be what happened? Mr. Naruto, I don't have all the answers yet, but I think we may have just uncovered a vital clue. Yep, but let me press this. I was scared out to death, so I ran off to find a cop.
Hold it!
So you didn't run into a room with your friends? I'm not that sort of girl. Sorry? I'm a timid little thing, me. I was too scared to go in there. Ah, right. I see. Old Lippy and the Wish. And the old Lippy and the Wish ran in there, and then I heard a sort of old lady scream. Well, that wasn't me, I swear. If I were a gentleman, I would state my honor on it. I wondered what on earth is going on, which is when you went to find a policeman. And I ran to a copper as soon as I turned the corner. So I brought him straight back to the place. Did I do well, eh? Just between us, that copper's eyes nearly popped out of his head when he saw the Reaper. I've never felt more uncomfortable in all my life. And the defendant was arrested on the spot, I believe. Considering the catalog of killings the Reaper had carried out, it was a particularly inauspicious end. If I can't find any holes in his testimony, I'm afraid the judge will give a ruling of guilty, Mr. Naruto. The truth is, though, their combined testimony is fairly damning. Unfortunately, there don't seem to be any obvious problems with their statements either. Still, if Lord Banseed really is innocent, then I'm almost certain that we'll find something in there that doesn't quite add up. You don't think that one of these three could be the true culprit, do you? I don't know, but what I do know is that there's more to this case that has yet to be brought to light.
Hold it!
Oh shit. I pressed the wrong button again. Sorry.
Objection!
So you wiped off the blood from your hand on the floor of the room. Are you quite sure about that? Well, what else do you expect me to have done, eh? Does it really matter?
Objection!
The police found no such handprint on the floor during their investigations. What exactly is the defendant asserting? If you listen, you'll find out, Prosecutor Azuki. Certainly, there was no bloody handprint found on the floor. What are you trying to say? There was a handprint in blood left very clearly at the scene. On the back of this notice board. Yes, indeed. Indisputably a handprint in a distinctive color of blood. You're dead right, that's my right hand. I know it anywhere.
Objection!
The witness very definitely testified that he wiped his hand on the floor. Any handprints on the back of the board are relevant.
Objection!
Not if the board itself had fallen over onto the floor. In that case, it's quite possible for the witness's handprint to have ended up there. Just look at the floor plan of the room. The notice board was in the opposite corner of the room to the victim and in an upright position. Even if it had somehow been toppled and was lying on the floor at the time, it would have been a considerable distance from the body. I fell over when I came across the body, so I was basically right next to the corpse, not on the other side of the room. In other words, the defense's assertion is contradictory. Yes, it is. Yeah, that's why! It is contradictory! That's why! There's a very definite contradiction here, for which there must be a reason. I take it that you have formulated a proper hypothesis, counsel. Regarding this apparent discrepancy between the witness's account and the handprint found at the scene. I have, my lord. This discrepancy between the witness's account and the location of the handprint is explained by the board moving, I think. The real contradiction here is the handprint itself, not where it was found. As the court can see, it's upside down. Good gracious, so it is. If the witness had put his hand against the board, the fingers should be pointing upwards. What does that tell us? It tells one simple fact, that this handprint was made. When this handprint was made, the board must have been lying on the floor, as I previously suggested. Which means that after the incident, it must have been moved. What?
Objection!
You're claiming that somebody moved the notice board after the shooting. Then tell the court who. I don't know that yet, but the point is, when you consider all the testimony we've heard so far, we can now very clear on one point, and that would be the position of the notice board at the time of the incident. Oh shit, so counsel, I must ask you to clarify your assertion for the court. At the time of the incident, where do you maintain the notice board was situated? It has to be somewhere here.
Take that!
This is the only possible location. Immediately adjacent to the doorway. If the court would think back to the testimony given by the defendant earlier, he said that when he entered the room it was dark, and he couldn't see the body. Quiet! If the notice board had been here, the body would have been completely hidden from view, and the light from candles would have been blocked, making the room appear dark.
Objection!
But the accused also claims that the victim's body simply appeared before him. That's true. Or, in his precise words, because the board fell. Just as I picked the firearm up to examine it, the door flew open and I heard a man scream. It was only then that the body of Inspector Rigson appeared before me. yelling and scream when it was talking about me and noticed me. Cause it was me that kicked the door open. We look again at the floor plan. Consider what would happen if the door to the room was thrown open with force. Yeah, that can't. The door struck the notice board, knocking it over and making the victim's body visible. Good gracious. My client has told nothing but the truth. He has simply described what he saw. Ah! Order, order! Counsel, how has this not come to light before now? After the incident, somebody must have righted the board and moved it into the position where the police, myself, and my colleagues saw it when investigating the room. Witness, what have you say for yourself? What? Me, my lord? You and your fellows were there at the scene before anybody else. It goes without saying that you must know some about the position of the notice board. The witnesses in the stand will testify again. You will each explain exactly what you did upon arriving at the scene of the crime. Hey, stop looking over your glasses at me and get the message. The mystery of the moving board. I don't know anything about that there notice board. I just wiped my hand on it, that's all. Well, don't look at me. I haven't got a clue about it. I was doing business with some second years at the time. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just bystander to me, just a sign at the crossroads of life. It was that reaper I met. He's got a face that screams bored. What? I can't see how this changes anything in a way. The detective still died when we heard the gunshot. That was heartless. So none of you can elaborate further. Shaken by the crime they witnessed, and with only the light of a few candles and an oil lamp by which to see. We can't expect these witnesses to be able to give a more precise account of what happened. That's right, yeah. It don't pay to expect too much. It's man's endless quest for knowledge that's destroying the world. That's what I think. Do you? Really? Any case, as this testimony shows, even if the notice board was moved by somebody following the incident, it makes no difference. When the gunshot rang out, the accused was the only person at the scene. In short, the only person who could possibly have committed this crime is Barrow Vanciques. None of this wrangling over the board changes that simple fact. Quite so, quite so. Does the defense still wish to cross-examine the witnesses despite the circumstances? Most certainly, my lord. Very well, then you may proceed, counsel. The mystery of the moving board. I don't know anything about that there notice board. I just wiped my hand on
Hold
it.
it!
So you admit that it was a board you wiped your bloody hand on? Admit it? What to admit? Is there a plain as day for all to see a smashing print on my right hand? Perhaps you wanted to hide that handprint. So you righted the notice board and pushed it into the corner, did you? No, imagine the weight of that great lump. Do I look like a powerful and well-nurtured man? Well, did you see anybody else moving the board? I've got nerves of steel, I can tell you, but even I have limits. There was a body on the floor in front of me, and the Grim Reaper himself standing over it. And there was precious little light inside either. My bottom lip was all a quiver. In other words, this witness is unable to give definite testimony about it. Yes, so it was... He was so scared he couldn't do anything. Well, don't look at me, I haven't got a clue about it. It was your business for some city years ago.
Hold it!
When you say you were doing business with them, you mean you were selling them fireworks? Yeah, what else? There's the Priory School just around the corner, see? Those cheeky little so and so's have got to explain. I've got a plan to blow the school to Kingdom Come. So I've been telling on them, letting the teachers know what they're up to. Oh, you have? Yeah, I wouldn't want anyone to get hurt, so I let the school know the kids are playing with dodgy toys. Then, praise the Lord, the teachers take all the fireworks out. And then, praise the Lord again, the kids all come back to me to buy more. Everyone's happy, see? What a racket. Of course, and sometimes the teachers give me a little bonus to thank me for letting me know. It's a busy old life selling explosives. Venus is a guileful goddess indeed. Well, telling barefaced lies is kind of my thing, really. I'm ever so good at it.
Excuse me!
Some wrong, Mr. Sandwich? If I said it was, could we just leave it at that? Could that be the end of it? No. Did Miss Venus's statement just now bring some to mind, perhaps? Philosophical thoughts. Deep philosophical thoughts. Let's say there was a great liar. And that great liar said without batting an eye, telling barefaced lies is kind of my thing. I'm ever so good at it. Well, would those words of hers be a lie too, or the truth? In which case, she's not a liar. Oh, it's a hellish paradox, that one, don't you think? I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. But it seems to me you're suggesting that Miss Venus has been lying, are you? What are you on about, oh man? Trying to cause trouble, are you? Keep on like that. And I'll wrap your whole body in firecrackers and set them off. They'll give you something to tremble about. You have a startlingly disturbing mind behind a sweet and innocent face, young lady. So, Miss Venus has lied in her testimony. Is that what you were saying, Mr. Sandwich? Well, if it means I'll be burning in hellfire for the rest of my days, so be it. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Can you elaborate, please, sir? Old blabbermouth here headed for the room where the gunshot seemed to come from. But there was someone else who crept up the stairs behind him, too. That's right. That rotten liar over there. Hee hee. Do you mean to say that you did in fact betake yourself to the scene of the crime after all? What did I tell you, eh? I said I was good at telling barefaced lies, didn't I? Yes, you mentioned it. Well, that revelation rocked the whole courtroom, didn't it? Who knew firecrackers packed such a punch? So you did indeed visit the scene of the crime, did you, young lady? Good grief. Well, now you come to mention it, I suppose perhaps I do clearly remember climbing the stairs to the room now. Either you clearly remember it or you don't. Well, I shall consider a fitting punishment for this perjurious act later. For the time being, you will immediately amend your testimony to reflect the truth. Oh yes, my lord, of course. Maybe I could sneak along behind gossip and have a little peek into the room where it all happened.
Hold it!
You make a habit of lying, do you, Miss Venus? Well, I suppose so. I don't really know, to be fair. If you want my advice, though, I take everything I say with a big pinch of salt. Alright, but you did in fact go to the room where the victim was killed on the day in question, did you? Oh, please, as if I would. I can't think of anything more terrifying. The truth, please. Well, alright, just a bit then. I mean, a girl my age is curious about stuff, you know. Did you touch anything at the scene? Oh, please, as if I would. I mean, there was a dead body on the floor. The truth, please. Well, alright, just a bit then. I had a look to see if there was anything I could sell. So I did give a place a once-over, but it was nothing to write home about. Right, now, I hesitate to ask, but you didn't move the notice board by any chance, did you? Oh, please, as if I would touch anything like that. Just a few bits of loose change is all I had. The truth, please. Well, alright then, I thought there might be some worth having underneath it. So I blasted the flipping thing. Sorry, flipped the blasted thing. You're telling us that you did move that board? I think that did slip out, did it? Whoa, you damn bar butt! I don't believe it. The girl doesn't think. So, did you find anything then? Something that you might have taken, perhaps, to sell? Oh, please, I should be so lucky in my imagination. The truth now! I might have found this old pocket watch under a notice board, I suppose. But a bit of junk like this can't be worth much. Ah! So it was you, was it? You're the one who took it! Gina? Young lady, may I remind you where you are? That watch there. That was a present to Inspector Gregson from the yard for a big case he solved 10 years ago. The professor case, no doubt. The boss used to wind it up every evening without fail when he was waiting for his scrub to come in the pot. I see. I swiped it off and once and blimey, he was upset. He gave me a right ear. He said he hadn't missed a day in the last 10 years polishing and winding it. It meant the world to him, that watch did. Possibly not the best thing to go diving for now. It's not all that, though. I took it to Jabez that night to ask how much it was worth, but the old dealer wouldn't touch it. Wouldn't give me a penny for it, said it wasn't working, knocked about and worthless, he called it. Ah, I knew I should have lifted it. Then that watch must be submitted as evidence at once. Oh, please, just so long as you promise to give it back when we're done. Not a chance. I'll swipe it from you if you try to get your grubby mitts on it again. That's enough. Hand the watch to the bailiff forthwith. Now, children, watch your manners. Good lord! The glass appears to be broken. More than likely shattered when the inspector was shot. It doesn't tick anymore either. Which is why Jabazit won it. What a ways, eh? Yes, indeed, it appears to have stopped at the hour of 5. Exactly when the gunshot was heard then. Which supports the prosecution's claim, of course. Gregson's pocket, okay. He wound without fail every single day is no longer ticking when the glass over the face is cracked. Okay. Well, it would appear that the mystery of the movie notice board had been solved at least. Okay, let me check this. The glass over the face really is badly cracked, look. What a shame when the inspector clearly looked after it so carefully. I imagine Mr. Sholmes could repair it, don't you? Yes, I should think so. He's very adept at things like this. A useful man to have around. But kindly remember that he's a great detective, Mr. Naruto, not an odd-job man. Ooh, something broken. There's a tiny little stump singing out from a small room. I suppose it must have been a little knob or something on that for setting the time. In that case, seeing as we know the inspector took such good care of his watch, it probably broke the incident occurred, didn't it? Yes, of course. Which would mean that there's a small part of the watch still at the scene. Ah, there's a tiny little keyhole. Can you see? Ah, yes, that's probably for the winder, used to wind up the mechanism. It looks a little unusual, don't you think? Yes, you'd need just the right key to wind it, I imagine. I do feel as though I've seen something. Something a bit like a key is about the right size to fit in this hole. It'll be wonderful if we have the key. Let's check carefully over what we've already found. Okay. The helmet of this. Okay. Let's go. The key. Mr. Sato, do you think perhaps this key could be the key for Inspector Gregson's watch? Oh, yes, it could be. Let's try it at once. There's not a moment to lose. I knew it. A perfect fit. And look! The inspector's watch has started going again. Ah, so it has obviously just not been wound out, that's all. I don't know. What is it, Mr. Sato? Well, if the watch isn't actually broken after all, I have a feeling it could have profound implications. It's deep in thought now. Perhaps I'd better start thinking deeply too. Okay. It starts ticking again. And as predicted, it had very little bearing on the case. Now then, continue with your cross-examination, please, counsel. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a bystander, just side and crossroads. But you did go to see what had happened in the room, did you? Fresno Street is my whole world. It's all I know, and I know all of it. I have to make it my business to know if I want to hold my side up high. So you did go see what had happened. It's not the destination that's important. It's how you get there, isn't it? Did you notice an notice board in the room? If you think about it, we are both the same species, aren't we? Both different members of the sign family. So if I'd spotted it, I might have tried to trip it out of sense of rivalry, I admit. someone really needs to tell you that you are Homo sapiens, not Homo sapiens. Does that mean that you didn't notice the board? I can only repeat what I said before. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a bystander. Me, it's just a sign at the crossroads of life. In which case, just who was responsible for moving the notice board? It was that Reaper, I bet. He just got a face that screams for.
Hold it!
What exactly do you mean by that? Oh, come on now. Don't tell us you're not noticed. He looks like he hates everything in the world, that fella. But not notice boards. They're the one thing he likes, but you can see it in his eyes. Can't say I've ever noticed. I'll tell you one thing for free though. I never took my eyes off that man on the floor, or off the Reaper, not for a second. Sorry? Ooh! Oh, Mimiti, hello! Welcome! Mwah, 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 mwah. I guess you just came back from work again, right? Thank you so much for dropping by. Thank you. Welcome. How was work? I hope work was good. I hope work treated you well. And I hope you had a good sleep as well. Sleep in for me, please. Well, I was that scared. I couldn't. You never know what a fiend like them might do if you look away, dude. If you didn't take your eyes off the defendant, you should be able to confirm categorically whether or not he was the one who moved the notice board. That I can. The Reaper did not have a sword. I can swear that. I couldn't have missed it if he heaved the thing up right again and dragged it into the corner. Right. Glad we cleared that out. What happened to the face that screams for? I feel your pain, Kazuko. I can't see how this changes anything anyway. The detective still died when he rehearsed.
Hold it!
It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon that y'all heard the loud bang, wasn't it? Maybe the notice board fell over, or maybe it didn't. Maybe it fell over, or maybe I did. But the Reaper's fate is sealed either way because of that gunshot we all heard. So your fate's sealed too. Oh, you're still the same. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I guess you guys have like everybody have work to do. I do too. This is what I work. My fate? That's right. The defense is fated to lose, and the prosecution to win. In other words, it all hinges on that single gunshot. So if I could just find some problem with that part of the story, it may be possible to change all fates. Of course, then none of that changes the fact that I heard what I heard, does it? Thank you, you too! Thank you. Not much to go on. As you pointed out, Mr. Naruhodo, there's no question that the notice board was moved, so somebody must have done it. But it did happen after events, so maybe Kazuma is right, and it's not relevant to the case. It should be relevant, but it seems to have been deliberately positioned so as to hide the body from view. So I feel sure that there's some deeper significance to all of this. Yes, I know what you mean. I've no doubt there are more clues to be uncovered. You're on the right track, I can feel it. So follow your instincts. Alright then. Okay. Okay, let me see again. Okay. Survival going after being over the loud band. Maybe then this board fell over, or maybe it didn't. It all hinges on a single gunshot. So if I could just find some problem with that part of the story. Maybe possible to change all our fates. Of course, none of that changes the fact that I heard what I heard, does it? Wait. The gunshot. But the Reaper's fate. That's right, the defense is fated to lose and the prosecution to win. In other words, it all hinges on a single gunshot. So if I could just find some problem with that part of the story. Gunshot? They heard the gunshot. There's no time of death. Here. Instant death. So is fire. Instant death. I can't see how this changes anything in a way. The detective still died when he heard the gunshot. What if it's not the gunshot? Can we just say it's Venus firecracker?
Objection!
Nope. Okay. Well, you know, I'll just play devil's advocate. Yes, you do appear to have some of the devil in you, Mr. Ronaldo. Season and merely edition abilities. Okay. Well. The gunshot. Or is it point blank range? And close range? We'll have to find some. Ah. Follow my instincts. It all hinges on that single gunshot, so if I could just find some problem with that part of the story.
Hold
Go
it!
to presses again. So it didn't move the notice board. Crossroads of life. Okay, I think I have to.
Hold it!
I have to reconsider it. Not so little implications. Did you know everything in the world apart from the truth is a big fat lie? If you believe that, of course, I'm lost, as am I. This desecration of the truth is really rather disturbing. I think perhaps we should move on to the next witness. Wait, what? Just that? Just that! Just when I thought I would get more of her! Oh my god.
Hold it!
But you did go to see what had happened in her room, didn't you? Yeah, so he did. It's not the destination that's important, it's how you get there. Did you notice a notice board in the room? If you think about it, we're both the same species, aren't we? Both different members of a science. Okay, so he didn't notice a board. Someone really needs to tell you that you're Homo sapiens on Homo sapiens. You didn't notice a board? I can only repeat what I said before. I don't know anything about anything, I'm just a bystander, just a sign at the crossroads of life. In which case, just who was responsible for moving the notice board? Good morning, sorry I'm late. It's okay, it's fine. Thank you so much for coming, thank you.
Hold it!
I'm still trying to figure out this one. What exactly do you mean by that? Oh, come on now. Don't tell us you notice looks like he eats everything in the world, that fella. But not notice boards. They're the one he thinks he likes. You can see it in his eyes. I can't say I've ever noticed. I'll tell you one thing for free, though. I never took my eyes off that man on the floor, or off the Reaper, not for a second. Sorry? Okay, so he confirmed that Van Zeke didn't move the notice board. Okay. I feel like it's this one that I have to like
Hold it!
It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon that you all heard the loud band, wasn't it? Maybe the notice board fell over, or maybe it didn't. Maybe it fell over, or maybe... But the Reaper inspector's fate is sealed either way because of the gunshot we all heard. So your fate sealed too. My fate? That's right. The defense is fated to lose, and the prosecution to win. In other words, it all hinges on that single gunshot. So if I could just find some problem with that part of the story, it may be possible to change all the fates. Of course, none of that changes the fact that I heard what I heard, does it? I presented the firecracker and it didn't. I don't know anything about that they're or maybe it's a watch. I don't know, I'll try.
Objection!
It is! I'm afraid that's not necessarily the case. Oh? At the scene, we found this key to the winder of the inspector's pocket watch. A key. And having I so want to know how to pronounce that. Wound? Wound? Wound is wound, right? Wound up. Oh, it's wound. Oh, it's wait. It's wound. So it's wound as well. It is, wait. Wind, wound. How to pronounce? Okay, so wind, air, okay. So twist is wind, and the past tense is wound. Okay, so I was right. So it's wound. Wound. Okay, I hate English. English can be very, very bad. And having wound the pocket watch, we discovered that it in fact still works. You see, the watch didn't stop because it was broken at all. And that fact completely undermines one of the most fundamental premises on which this entire case has been built. What? Yeah, I checked. Oh no, but counsel, the watch was stopped at almost exactly 5 o'clock. Yeah, which is just when we heard that gunshot. It is exactly the hour. The time that was showing on the watch tells us nothing other than when it wound down. It's merely a coincidence that it happened to be at 5 o'clock.
Objection!
Even if that's true, the 3 witnesses here all heard the gunshot at 5 o'clock. So that's obviously when this crime was...
Objection!
No, that doesn't hold. Why not? Recall what Inspector Lestrade said only moments ago. The boss used to wind it up every evening without fail when he was waiting for his scrub to come in the pub. He said he hadn't missed a day in the last 10 years polishing and winding it. It meant the world to him, that watch. The victim was in the habit of winding his watch once a day in the evening. We can reasonably assume, therefore, that he wound the timepiece on the evening before he died as well. Yes, that would be entirely reasonable. But if that's the case, you wouldn't expect the watch to have completely wound down by 5 o'clock the following morning. In summary, the evening before the day of the incident when the gunshot rang out in that room, what did you say? You wouldn't... Well, how'd you explain it then? Oh, okay. The inspector was already unable to wind his watch. You can't mean... What would stop a man winding his watch if he has been in the habit of winding it every single evening for 10 years? The obvious answer is that he was already dead. castle? That is the most extraordinary claim.
Objection!
Extraordinary isn't the word. It's absurd. You claim it was already dead the night before? Do you really think that Scotland Yard's coroner would have overlooked something like that? Well, on that subject, there's something rather surprising. There's actually an omission in the coroner's report. Yeah, time of death. The time of death is not noted. That's right. Wait a minute. You're forgetting that my legs went from under me when I kicked the door in. What do you mean? Like I said, I planted my hand in a dirty great puddle of blood. Yes. So the victim's blood hadn't dried. It was fresh. It catches on fast.
Objection!
But that blood could be explained in any number of ways. It could have been put there afterwards. Some fresh blood could have been poured over the victim's body. Does my learned friend think the fresh blood is available in every street corner? Well, it didn't necessarily have been human blood, of course. We've been told previously that Scotland Yard has no way to identify blood as human. The problem is currently being researched. At present, you are correct. It is beyond our abilities. So then, a chicken's blood could have been used, for example. It's certainly a possibility that it wasn't the inspector's blood at all.
Objection!
But the gunshot was heard at 5 o'clock that afternoon. That's beyond question. Is it, though? What? Given that the time of death of the victim has already been called into question, it isn't beyond the realms of possibility that what these witnesses heard wasn't gunshot at all. Oh, please, what are you trying to say? As blood know what we heard, and it was a loud band that came from that there room. Now, you listen to me. A street seller's ears are his livelihood. I don't doubt your ears, sir, but all you can state with certainty is that you heard a noise. Eh? Explain yourself then, counsel. A noise that sounds like a gunshot could have been made with... Yeah, right, finally.
Take that!
Something like this. The culprit could have set off one of these to fake a gunshot. Could be. The very fireworks that are sold by the witness? Now, hold on a minute. Are you saying I did it? My pretty little firecrackers only made a little pop anyway. Not 100 of them together. The Venus special that you sell for 600 pennies sounds like this. As the court can now attest, it sounds very much like a gunshot, in fact. Trying to suggest that somebody set one of those fireworks off at the scene? I'm suggesting that somebody knew the defendant was in the room at 5 that day, and sought to implicate him by creating a sound like a gunshot. A sound like a gunshot for these peddlers of Fresno Street Treat.
Objection!
Here. But even the accused himself has testified that he saw no one else in the room at the time. Whether it was a gun or a firecracker, the only person present to cause that bang was Barrow Francis. One whiff of a match and my firecrackers go pop. See? It's why people like it. I fear for your fingers, young.
Objection!
Recently, during my time here in Britain, I've learned of a very useful invention. Some called a time bomb. Good heavens, a bomb? Yes, a device that allows you to blow up whatever you like, whenever you like. Mr. Naruto, I worry that your unfortunate phrasing there may lead to yet another international incident. No, wait. It's a whatever you like part that's important. A time device? Yes, exactly. A time device. Some of that nature could have been planted at the scene. A device that was able to produce the sound of a gunshot long after the culprit left. Your extravagant claim will have to be substantiated with evidence, counsel. What proof do you have to suggest in any way that a time device was employed to create the gunshot sound? Really? Is it a watch?
that!
You're suggesting this could have been used as some sort of time delay device? Oh shit. Sorry. I did think so, my lord. But it's becoming increasingly clear that we've all been very misguided.
Objection!
Wait, what? Am I wrong? Yes, by you. What? No? Why? Ugh, no time to clear the area before the blast. Okay, fine. What proof do you have to suggest in any way that a time device was employed to create gunshots? Wait, don't tell me it's a candle. What proof do you have to suggest in any way that a time device was employed? A candelabrum from the wall of the room on Fresno Street where the inspector was found dead. The top of one of the candles appears to Oh shit, it's a candelabrum.
Take that!
As the court has already discussed, the tip of one of the candles in this candelabrum has been blown off. Indeed, because it was struck by the bullet, which presumably passed through the victim. I don't think that's possible, my lord. Not possible? Why? Because of the scorching. There are gunpowder scorch marks, clearly visible on the broken candle. There are? Goodness, yes! But it is not the case. That there was also scorching on the victim around the bullet entry wound. That's right, there was. But as we heard earlier, scorching like that only occurs when the target is at very close range, a matter of centimeters from the gun. Ah! Which means that the scorching of the candle can't possibly be the result of a gunshot. You're suggesting it came from the fireworks? How can that be, eh? The fact that there's such a visible scorching on the candle suggests that the fireworks must have been right next to it when they exploded. Or to put it another way, the candle and firecrackers were joined together. The culprit somehow attached the firecrackers at a point partway down the candle. After the killer had left the scene, the candle slowly burnt down along with the other two, until eventually it ignited the fuse of the firecrackers, generating a loud bang. And that is how these three witnesses came to believe they'd heard a gunshot at 5 o'clock. Well, what a plot. And this implies that the victim could have died earlier than we've been led to believe, the previous day even. Now, just hold your horses. All this lot here saw the victim go into the building, remember? I could forget what that flame-colored hair, even if I wanted to. The person you saw entering the building wasn't the victim at all. Consider this. Obviously, anybody can wear a wig. So the person that these witnesses saw entering the building 15 minutes before the incident occurred could easily have been someone else entirely wearing the red hairpiece. Someone else? Do you mean to say? It was the same person who contrived the firecracker trick. In other words, Inspector Gregson's killer. Psh. Oh, very impressive. Skin out. Kazuma? I'm really quite amazed you've come this far. Oh my god. How can he be so attractive? He's so handsome. But I'm still still on the lawyer's side. I mean, the prosecutor has always been handsome, but I am not swayed. I'm not swayed out of But after all, wasn't I the one who told you that you had all the making of the great defense lawyer? I also noted a lack of time of death in his report, a stark omission. But as far as I'm concerned, this whole country's justice system leaves a lot to be desired. Order! Prosecutor Asogi, what on earth do you mean by that statement? I hear that many of the leading members of Britain's judiciary are present to observe this trial today. So we cannot allow even the slightest doubt to be overlooked. The defense's assertion about the time of death based on the victim's stopwatch is just conjecture. But while the possibility exists that my learned friend may be correct, we have to do explore. Well, certainly I would agree with you. And what immediately comes to mind is, of course, what was Inspector Gregson doing? Where did he go on the day before the incident? Do you know? The inspector always carried out his investigation work alone. His movements were treated as confidential within Scotland, even within a yard. However, considering the evidence we've been presented with so far, I'd say it's fairly apparent that what case a man was pursuing, wouldn't you, my friend? I do have a feeling about what case it might have been investigating. Yes, I agree. Surely. My lord, the defense believes it can explain to the court the case that was being investigated by Inspector Gregson at the time of his death. Very well, counsel. Present your argument to the court. What evidence is suggestive of the case being investigated by the prosecutor on the day prior to the incident? Oh shit. The redhead?
Take that!
I believe this redhead piece points to the answer. We might assume it was part of a disguise used to carry out an undercover investigation. Surely not. Such a brightly colored hairpiece would only serve to make the inspector more noticeable. Yes, that's quite true. It would definitely make him stand out in a crowd. Except, that is, in a crowd of gentlemen from the red-headed league. The red-headed league? So you had already worked it out. What on earth is this all about? Is there such an extraordinary league of gentlemen? The Red-Headed League is currently under investigation for a grand deception. A deception of what nature, Counsel? They've been targeting red-headed men across all of London and tricking them out of small sums of money. 2 men were arrested for the misdemeanor only yesterday, in fact. My lord, the defense calls for those 2 men to be summoned at once. 2 redheads? Inspector Gregson clearly infiltrated the Red-Headed League using his hairpiece, so it's very likely that he had direct contact with these persons. And it's quite possible that such contact led to more serious events. I concur that we cannot in good conscience leave this new avenue unexplored. Well done, Mr. Naruto. Well, is another possible line of inquiry for us police. The prosecution will make immediate arrangements for the charged men to appear. Bring these 2 red-headed league conspirators before me, Prosecutor Asogi. At once, Mother. Very good. We will have a 30-minute recess. Court is adjourned. To be continued. And yes, we'll continue it tomorrow. It's tomorrow morning, guys. So, I'm sorry I can go only for one part of the episode right now. But for tomorrow, we'll go for another, okay? I really don't want to miss it because I'll have to miss it a lot next week. So, if I were to miss anything, if you were to miss anything, I'm so sorry. But I really have things to do. And I regret it. But, well, not like I regret it, but I was going to say that I'll have to leave this game unattended for a while after tomorrow. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for coming. Kazuma is so handsome. But, well, I love his energy. He has such a very defense attorney energy, but he's a prosecutor now. That's why he's a very, very, how would you call it? Scary. Yeah, he's a very scary prosecutor right now because he has this defense attorney energy within him. So yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. I love you. Woohoo! I hope you enjoyed the game like I did. So, let's see. Nice play today. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's see who I should be. Oh, okay. So Tauren Dragon is actually he's actually playing this one too. I wonder where he is. But yeah, thank you so much everyone for coming. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye. Kirayuko! Over and out. Mwah!